Hey guys, what's up? It's my first ever video on this channel, and today we're gonna learn how to brute force any website or write a brute forcer in Python and leverage Chatgpt. So we're just gonna use it to help us code and understand some stuff. All right. So today we're basically the website that we're gonna target here, or like an example site. We're gonna use Balenciaga. So we're gonna use a site that's actually pretty popular and actually is important, I guess, right? Um, all right. So if you look at their page, it's actually pretty simple, right? So you see the email address over here. You see remember me, forgot password, and continue. So we're gonna go into the inspect element of whatever browser you're using, right? And you can kind of see the structure of the website over here. Everything that's going on over here, right? And you could use the inspect tool to actually see all the buttons and everything, the forms. All right. So what are we gonna do now? So the first thing we want to do, obviously, is that we want to enter in some fields, some test fields. And like, let's say a test field would be, I don't know, a random email, right? gmail.com. We can click continue. All right, so we can see a request has been made over here. And it looks kind of like this. Um, if you go into the header section, in the general section, you'll see request URL. So what is this? So basically, this is a URL that's being, the request is being sent to. This is one important thing, right? The second important thing here is the request method. What type of request is this? Is this a GET request or a POST request? Um, this one is using GET request, but usually what we always see is like a POST request. But actually, if we look at the name right here, it's actually login minus account is available. And if we hover over it, you'll see that it accepts an email, and it's our email. So basically with the GET request, we're actually getting information back, right? And if we go into the payload section, this is the second most important thing. Um, let's go in it. We see the email field, which is our email that we put in, right? We see a is login, so I guess they have some type of parameter thing. Is it a login request, right? Because they probably have a register button as well. And then a CSRF token. We'll come back to this later, right? And now we're going to go to the response section. What do we see here? So we see a JSON format, right? So we see the first field is action, which is like login minus account is available. So what I think this request is doing is basically asking the server, does this email exist in our database or not? Query string. We get a CSRF token, and maybe there's also an email. And you can see over here, there's an add, and then the email that we sent in. And also our is login equals to true. And success is true, show registration is true. So basically, what this endpoint has given us is a lot of useful information. Let's see what it told us, right? So it told us show registration. What do you think this is? So this really just tells us that this dude does not have an account. This email doesn't exist in our database. And should we show him the registration form or not? It says true. And the redirection URL is actually this URL right here, which we did not get redirected to. So this is probably the URL that the request goes to for any registration details. So this was a successful request, which gave us 200 OK. We can also look at our cookies. So these are the response cookies which the website returned after the request. And these are the request cookies that we sent over. These are probably like when we initially loaded the website, it sent us these cookies back to go ahead and keep track of what's happening. Let's see what happens when we enter a password. So I'm just going to put any type of random password here, right? And we'll click and log in. Invalid login or password. Remember that password is case sensitive. Okay, so we get an error. We see a red request right here, which means it failed. And if we hover over it, we see the URL is going to an API route, which is v1 auth n. If we click on this, we see they made a request to this URL. The method was post, and the status code was 401 unauthorized. So we already knew that this account didn't exist on their database. It was a random email, right? What's the chances? So we go into the payload now. You guys can also view it as a source, which is just like plain raw format. And then they have a format which is like kind of like beautified with like a tree hierarchy. We see there's some options that are sent over. Multi-optional factor enroll. False. And then warn before password expired. True. So we send over the password and username, right? And if we go to the response, we see an error code. And this is probably some error code that the JavaScript on the client side uses to verify. And go ahead and show the appropriate error. We see an error summary, which is like an error message. And then we see an error ID. My bad, I have like a bad like freaking throat right now. Okay, we do see another email over here. I mean, another request. What does this request return us? So it returns us success is false. There was an error message. A technical error occurred. And we sent our email. It seemed like the first email, but this time there wasn't any CSRF token. So it probably failed. My bad, just had to drink some water. Alright, let's get back into it. Alright. So this is the main like literal request, which basically gave us which basically told us that authentication failed. And now we know that basically we have a API route, which is this URL, and it takes a post request with this data, and we can give it any type of data, and we know how to know if it's a failed request, right? So really, if we wanted to, well, all we need to do is just convert this into some code and go ahead and keep requesting with a bunch of emails and passwords, right? So let's try that out. So for this, let's go ahead and go use Chatgpt here. So since it's free for everyone and you don't need a plan, you can just use it for free. You don't have to sign up or anything. Let's go into the headers. Here, I'm going to teach you guys how to basically make it pretty simple for you. All you have to do here, let's copy this whole section right here. Right click, copy, go here. And what we'll just tell the AI to do, convert this headers to Python 3 dict. So basically this just solves it to convert the headers into a Python 3 dictionary. And let's see what it gives us. Okay, so as you guys can see, pretty much formatting it and giving us the headers. Right? Let's wait for it. Alright, that's good. So if we see now, we see that basically everything is the same over here, right? It's all the same here. It's the same data. It did it correctly. Let's go ahead and now use your whatever your favorite IDE is. I personally use VS Code. And we'll just create a file, right? We'll call it main.py just for like some testing over here, right? Let's go ahead and hide these. Let's go and select a version that we want to use of Python if you want to, right? And what we're going to do here is we're going to import our requests library, right? So I have Copilot, which is GitHub Copilot, and that's why you see these completions. I'm going to make a video on it pretty soon, showing it and like showing you how to use it. It's a pretty handful tool, especially if you want to get code done faster. Right? Okay. So let's go and get those headers that we got from our Chatgpt output. You can see it's all formatted correctly. For this one, we're gonna simply remove this part. Basically, this is just telling the encoding part, so we don't want to actually get some random encoding back from our if punishment main equals to main, then we'll call main over here, and we'll just give it a pass for right now since we're not doing anything. I keep going to the wrong browser, damn. Okay, so we'll go to the payload here. And for this, you actually want to click view source. And then you can just take it like that. And what you can do here is we'll just put it actually in the main function. Or we'll create a function call it login, right? And we'll give it a username, which is a string, and then we'll give it a password, which is also a string. And it will return it a boolean, right? A true or false value. Okay. Wow, it seems like Copilot has experience with this already, which is kind of weird, I guess. I mean, it's on GitHub, right? It's probably on GitHub. Someone probably already did this. Well, yeah. Alright, so we're going to make something called data here, and we're just going to paste that data in. So I personally like to go and format my stuff like this. That's good enough. And then we want to make these Python booleans, which are just with capitals. And for here, what we can do here is just go and put password here, and the username right over here, right? Let's go and actually put this right here, because it doesn't. And now we're going to get the request URL, which is actually, let's go and find it. Hold up, let me just, alright, my bad. Let's go and get the URL over here, which is our request URL. And what we're going to go and do here is we'll just put it up here. URL equals, that, right? And then what we can do here is with requests.session, as, I don't know, session, right? Session.headers, I usually just do this. Okay. Okay, Copilot, we know you already know how to do this, right? Let's go ahead and print what we get back. It should be JSON data, right? We'll see what happens. And for right now, we'll just return true, just as a dummy value. And we'll call our login over here, which is a random email and a random password, right? That looks good enough to me. And we'll just run it over here. So we'll do Python. Okay, so actually have multiple versions right now, so I think it was 3.12, and we'll just do main. And we'll see what we get. Oh, and great. We got a valid response. So we can see we got an error code, which is probably an error code that's used in the JavaScript to display the correct message. We got a summary, which tells us enough. Authentication failed. And we have a error link, which is, I guess, the same thing, but used for a link, maybe? And we can have a unique error ID, I guess. Actually, let's go ahead and see if it was the same ID. No, it's not. Yeah, so it's a unique ID, right? So apparently they have reCAPTCHA. But what is this used for? Is this just used for... What is this even used for? I mean, it doesn't seem like we're getting any type of triggers of the reCAPTCHA. Unless there's like a certain IP limit, and then it gets hit. Let's see if we can do the same request without all of these cookies over here. Right? And what we'll do here is basically, in the first request, what we'll do is session.get, and we'll get the base URL. Or we'll just get Balenciaga.com. First, we'll set the headers, actually, so it doesn't actually mess with anything. And then we'll go ahead and just run it again and check if it still lets us. Yeah, so it still lets us do whatever we need to. So now we're not tied with these same cookies. This is not needed either. Yeah. Most of this is needed except for like probably this is not also needed. And these are just like, it just basically helps us look like a legitimate request. Mostly all you would need is this user agent, which just tells it what browser you're using. All right. So basically, let's actually go ahead and check something out. So I'm going to also go ahead and show you guys how to go ahead and kind of like learn to go ahead and understand how these error systems work. So we can do a little search over here. And what we'll see here is that we have a few things over here. Let's go ahead and see what this is. Okay, so this is a source map loaded, which means this is not the full version, but this is. Okay, so we see there's window.exposedata.errors. If we just go in the console, we should be able to. Okay, so we need to do the allow casing thing that they added. And we actually see a full map. Actually, these might just be the errors that we currently have, right? Yeah, this might just be something set when we did hit an error. But if we just search up this right here, so we should see where this is being called or used, I mean. Not a function, so alright, so I guess these are the only real errors. And this seems like a function to me. .login actually. Seems like a function to me. And if we just go ahead and put this here, Okay, so this is actually just a string. Weird. Not sure why they did that. Seems like something dumb to do, but... But as you can see, we can also see basically what their login logic is here. Like they're doing regex checks on the probably the username, right? And what is Otoka? Ota. I think this might actually be what they're using for their auth API. Or maybe this is like a third party like data collection analytics auth API. Let's see. Alright, well, enough of that. We don't really care, right? Alright. So what we'll do here, since we didn't see any other errors, so I'm guessing this is the only error code they have. So what we can do here is really just do this. What we can do here is return true, return false if response, wait, actually, whenever it's unauthorized, it's actually a 401. So what we can do is just use the 401 unauthorized. So actually, anything that's not 200 should technically be fine. So return false if it's not 200. Else we'll return, and this is just not useful, so we'll just do this. Yeah, this should be good. And basically, we now have a way to go ahead and basically check however many times we want to. And we can go ahead and print here. I think we shouldn't be having any problems, so let's go and test it out. And I guess we'll change the data. Okay, let's just go ahead and ask. Let's see if they fix this error. No, they didn't. I hate that. They have like this little bug on Copilot, which generate some test email and passwords. Okay. Okay, we'll use one of the test libraries. I mean, I don't see why we need to do this. We do not need to do this. No, we don't need to do this. Rerun without, yeah, there you go. Alright, yeah, so it gave us some dummy data here. And we'll check what we get here. True, true. Wait, what? Oh wait, my bad. Yeah, we should do equals to 200. Not equal to 200. As we can see here, it's working flawlessly. So this was pretty simple. This is a basics example. So I'm thinking of making a few more videos where this captcha is involved in multiple steps. Maybe our next video, maybe we should do Activision or something similar, right? We can do something similar. I think they have a captcha. Yeah, they do. They have a I am not a robot captcha. And eventually, at some point, I will also show you guys how to go ahead and make your own solver for these. So stay tuned for that. My next video will probably be in about 3 days. So see you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video.